After 4 really long years of this Trump presidency, I think anybody, liberal and further left, can take a collective sigh of relief that Joe Biden has been announced by the Associated Press to be the next president of the United States. At this current moment, he is sitting at 290 electoral votes. Arizona has gone blue, Pennsylvania has gone blue, and Georgia has gone blue. He has won. The Associated Press has called it. This is pretty much guaranteed and confirmed, despite the fact that Trump supporters are going to be trying to take all this to the court. We've succeeded in our goal to stop fascism over the next 4 years. That doesn't mean that we have to stop. That doesn't mean that we just back off at the Democrats now. And that doesn't mean that the country is safe. You know, there's still a lot of support for Trump and his followers. There's still a lot of belief in Trumpism in America right now. And over the next 4 years, we know that our goal is going to be keeping Biden accountable and trying to stop the potential of another fascist threat in 4 years. But right now, I think we all need to just take a collective moment, a sigh of relief, and just breathe. Can we all breathe? Just breathe for one moment that fascism has been halted for 4 years. Just, it's a good thing. And I think in understanding that, in being able to take that breath and recognize this victory, I want to take a little bit of time to just analyze and just examine some of the responses some of the Trump supporters have been giving in these most recent protests. I want to comment a little bit, but I mostly want to take joy in the fact that they are sore losers, that we have gained a victory in this country. Yes, in the next 4 years, we're going to have to heal, right? We're going to have to figure out a way to take a lot of these people's thoughts and bring them back towards the center. We need to take a lot of liberals and bring them towards the left. We are going to have to do a lot of damage control and healing and everything. But we've reached a moment where we're stable, we're not in the critical condition we were, and we can breathe and take a moment. So let's have a little bit of fun right now. So I've already selected a bunch of videos just based on the titles and the locations of some of the protests to kind of get different varying perspectives, which I'm sure they'll probably be more or less the same, but I figured getting different locations would be good. I haven't watched any of these videos at the moment, though I'm pretty sure most of them are going to say exactly what I expect them to say. It's probably going to be a lot of the same points I debunked in my Rudy Giuliani video, because him and a lot of people like Alex Jones have been promoting kind of the same ideas out there in conspiratorial sense about these votes. So I expect a lot of parroting, but I'm just curious, and I kind of want to just take a moment to bask in the glory of having won. So the first video is by a Canadian broadcast, Trump supporters in Arizona in disbelief over Biden win. And with that, let's take a look.
This was part of a pre-planned Trump train, a parade of hundreds of vehicles. Some of them have already hit the freeways. And many people, yes, indeed, have heard the news, the projection of Joe Biden as the next president, and they frankly just don't believe it. They believe that there has been widespread
Oh, they
fraud.
better start believing it.
The president and the campaign. Someone saying, stop the seal. Why do you say that? Why do you say stop the seal?
In the middle of the night, a guy that stays in his basement, that has nobody show up, has absolutely no energy. When you have 60,000 people, you have 90-some miles of Trump train, that this guy won.
So
the ballot show.
You know, he's living in his basement because of COVID, which you clearly don't believe in, right? Like, she clearly doesn't have the mask, she doesn't care about any of this, and you still lost to him. Guy living in his basement beat y'all. How do you feel about that one?
Show up in the middle of the night when everybody's gone to sleep,
and
magically, definitely, magically, they're enough to push him ahead of Trump. Trump was ahead 700,000 votes in Pennsylvania in the middle of the night. Biden, and here's the interesting thing.
Yeah, that's what happens. That's the whole red Mirage thing that we've been talking about. That's the whole thing in a nutshell. All the votes were legitimate votes, were brought in during the middle of the night. This was called way beforehand. And if you want, I will take a look. I brought it up already because I knew this was going to be a thing. Beware the blue mirage and the red mirage on election night. This is a legitimate news source. This was done on November 3rd. We knew this was going to happen. The unprecedented combination of COVID-19 and sky-high interest in the presidential race have made 2020 an especially challenging one for administrators. It's likely that battlegrounds are going to be large trenches of mail and early in-person ballots that break heavily for Joe Biden, creating a blue mirage in the early tallies in states like Michigan and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, where they're not permitted to begin processing mail-in ballots until the day of the election, or in Michigan's case, the day before. In those states, a red mirage of heavily Trump-heavy election day votes could linger until larger metro counties report huge tranches of early ballots in the evening. They knew about this. There's tons of evidence to show that this has been out there for quite some time. And the fact that this is still happening is they just need to look at the news sources and the dates on them. Yeah, this one's from November 3rd, right? But there's a ton of evidence for other earlier forecastings from previous weeks. All it requires is a Google search. And that's like the last I'm going to bring it up, right? Like, I'll just say Red Mirage every single time, because that's going to be the best way to debunk this. Let's get back to the video.
The thing that's really telling is those ballots, they're only filled in for Biden. They're not filled all the way in, and they're all the.
Have you seen them? Where is the evidence for that? Has she seen the votes? And second of all, I would not be surprised if there was a ton of people who did not care about their state legislature and all the other stuff, and they just wanted to make sure Trump wasn't in office for 4 more years. That would not surprise me if a lot of people voted Biden and left the rest of the thing blank. But how does she know that? Who's been espousing that? That's just pure conspiracy theory.
Same, exactly the same. There's
I hear
no
your
way.
point. I hear your point.
Oh, there's plenty of
So
ways.
this is,
happened.
This is the kinds of concerns that we have heard in the days after the election, Adrian, in terms of people convinced that there has been an election fraud here. That the mantra is that the election has been stolen.
Oh,
so
they are
convinced. They do not
convinced.
believe Joe Biden will be the next president of the United States. They believe that this election essentially is being completely unfairly run, and that it is stacked against Donald Trump. Over the course of the last 12 hours, we've seen conspiracy theorist Alex Jones come out and make all sorts of pronouncements.
That was the greatest thing, because the fact that they're referencing Alex Jones as one of the major voices against it and calling him the conspiracy theorist that he is, basically means that they're just asserting that it's the conspiracy theory that it is, right? Like, this is all conspiracy theory. And it's just great to hear somebody saying it on a major news network, I guess Canadian broadcast news network, right? So yeah, welcome to the conspiracy theory that is the Trump campaign right now, or the Trump post-election, whining campaign.
About the same sort of thing. I think this speaks to the division in this country. We're going to see a lot more of it, particularly in this very divided state. They're still counting here. Just 20,000 votes separating the two. Joe Biden has a slight edge. But, it's going to continue counting here. And frankly, the results being announced now amongst this crowd, among tens of millions of Americans, they frankly just don't believe it. So what happens next? And yes, many people will be asking, are people in this crowd armed? Yes. They are. We haven't seen any violence, Adrian, in the time we've been here, but yeah, many people are armed today.
All right, David, thank you very much.
That's another thing. You have all these protesters out here who are armed, and I know that there's a big difference between gun laws in rural and city areas. But can you imagine, even in a rural area, like how some of the Black Lives Matter people would be received if they were actually carrying guns and weapons? Like, and I'm not advocating for any of the violence or anything like that specifically, right? Like, I'm just imagining the police reaction to a Black Lives protester in the full armor with the assault rifles that I've seen a lot of the Trump supporters have. And I'm wondering if we're going to see any of that in these particular videos. But just the difference between their protest being allowed to have guns and weapons available. And again, I know part of that's because of that divide between rural and city, but it's kind of jarring. It kind of just shows that level of disconnect with everything going on in this country. So for the next one, I have local Detroit news. Trump supporters gather in Lansing as Michigan legislature issues subpoena to state election. So let's take a look at that.
Also in Lansing, President Trump supporters held a...
I'm just going to skip a lot of the broadcasters because they're probably going to be saying a lot of things. I just want to bask in the Trump, Trump crying. I want to bask in the sore loserness that is Trumpness right now.
Rally at the state
right now.
Victor Williams. Victor, what are you hearing tonight?
Well, guys, first off, a lot of the Biden supporters who have now come to supporters. Hundreds flooding the steps of the state. Supporters are just
in an election period.
Supporters are just not
all trust what's happening in terms of the vote count.
Okay, what do you got to say?
Of the 2020 presidential election.
If we can't all trust what's happening in terms of the vote counting, this will go on for another 4 years and on and on and on. It will never stop.
In the meantime,
that's kind of true.
Republican lawmakers have officially
they need to learn to trust
for election records to
of this election to be true as far as we can possibly know. Human error does happen sometime. There are glitches with technology, but when a ton of extra votes show up for one certain candidate, I think everybody should be questioning that regardless of what their party affiliation is.
It was
the
predicted.
Investigation will take a look into the as of now baseless claims of voter fraud among
fishy stuff going on that's been exposed. The
very
glitch
fishy
in the computer system, ballots from the post office, ballots found here, Trump ballots found in dumpsters.
And when the outcome of the investigation is revealed, that's when these Trump supporters claim they'll accept Biden as their new president.
If they do a recount...
they just took all the Trump ballots, they opened them up in the middle of the night, and then they threw them all in the dumpster, right? That's what they're getting at. And then all the Biden ones, they were like, let's sneak them in the middle of the night, and we'll take all 50,000 votes, and we'll just pile them in. We'll pile all the 50,000 votes in. We'll take all those votes, and we'll count them, and they only have that one box on it for Biden, right? Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and it's so funny.
Okay.
It'd be a lot funnier if it wasn't still scary, but I'm going to be in the funny mode right now. I'm going to be in a happy place.
Okay. But there's just too much up in the air, too many questions, too many stories of dishonest behavior that have gone on with this election, and we just want to get to the bottom of it.
There was some type of confrontation that happened.
Oh, wow.
Victor Williams, back to you, Steve.
Okay, that was a pretty mild one. I'm gonna move on to the next one. USA Stop the Steal. Trump supporters decry election in Atlanta. So that one was actually pretty chill compared to a lot of the other ones I expect to see from what I've heard about some of these protests, right? But even still, even in those calm places, you still are hearing the same things. We need to examine it. They're not letting us examine things. There were Republican pollsters in these places. And you know what? They're upset they lost. And they're just espousing the same things that have been said over and over by a lot of the heads of the Trump administration and a lot of the lawyers and a lot of the people who have come out and speaking against this and creating fear and conspiracy theory in the air. Well, he's gone. They're singing the Star-Spangled Banner. Do they think the flag's just going to disappear overnight? Do they think the state's just going to disappear overnight? So, socialist Biden's going to come in and the flag's going to disappear and they're going to take everything from you? No, this is ridiculous. It's so funny.
The Supreme Court.
Whoa, what?
And we're going to the Supreme Court.
They're going to the Supreme Court. They know if they get it in the Supreme Court, they're going to win it. But I don't think it'll make it there. And we got No Socialism 2020, CNN Lies. Ah, glorious.
What's going on now is a complete deception. It's election fraud at its worst. I've seen it before in California, and I don't want to see it happen here.
Skip ahead a
The
little.
president was up.
Wait. Let's see what you got to say.
I feel like there's a massive voter fraud. On the night of the election, the president was up hundreds of thousands of votes in various swing states.
You just can't
magically
handle
by
it.
morning, those votes had dwindled away and they're now gone. So I feel like there's a lot of fraudulent voting took place. Magical ballots appeared overnight.
Magical ballots. They just flew in, right? They just flew in from nowhere, like fanciful unicorns. Oh my goodness. You know, the red mirage just faded away, the mist cleared, and magical unicorns flew out of the sky carrying ballots. It's glorious. And they're just stretching this.
In the favor of the person in the media is telling us is the new president-elect, who I don't believe he rightfully earned it. I believe that it's a fraud, a scam. The media is in cahoots with the Democratic leadership.
Ooh, the sore loser vibes, the coping.
Rightfully elected President Donald John Trump.
Okay, I can't hear anything he's saying.
And I'm confused. We don't welcome this here in Atlanta. I don't know where they think they are, but I'm confused. That's all I am.
Okay, that was completely awesome. That was completely awesome. Okay.
Today is no different than any day in the past 4 years. We've been trying to drain the swamp right along with the president, and it's very important that we just keep continuing our mission. We all have a part to play.
If you think that Trump has been draining the swamp over the past years, like, oh, wow, do I have something to, like, tell you. He has had more government corruption and influence and cronyism than any president in recent times. And I'm not saying that it doesn't happen in other administrations. It clearly does. But the fact that this rhetoric is still built into this cult of personality for Trump, draining the swamp, voter fraud, all the things that he says just being amplified over and over again by all these voices, they're just coping right now, and it's all they have. It's all they have. They don't have any actual arguments. They don't have any actual evidence. And again, all of this was predicted. All they had to do is Google or look in the newspaper or read any, source, but they don't even believe the media. They're ready to cast out the media. And the fact that they're able to cast out the media is one of the greatest threats to this country. Media is the buffer to fascism. And yeah, media gets things wrong every now and then. But, the alternative is this.
We need to keep focusing on that for the next 4 years if Biden were to win.
If he were to win. Heck yeah. That was a fun end. What do we got next? We got Biden, Trump supporters rally outside the Texas Capitol. Let's skip some of this.
It's not over yet.
Yes, it is.
I ran into some traffic downtown and I've just felt the vibes, so I decided to park and join the festivities. It's electric because we have injustice in our world.
I'm out here to show support for our legal president. All of us have seen.
I will admit he is the legal president, at least until, mid-January. He is the legal president. He's a lame duck president, but he is the legal president. I'll give you that one.
And heard, we know that the vote count was false in several states. We're here to show our president that we support him. We have his back, and we're not going to let them steal this election.
Coping hard.
And we're here to tell them that the people have the power, not the government, and we're not going to let them steal this election. I'd say.
Well, I hate to tell you, the people voted for, was it Trump? No. The people voted for Biden. The people voted for Biden. And, if we're being real, the people voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016. The Electoral College voted for Trump in 2020. In 2016, sorry. And, we're stealing the election, right? Like, we're just stealing it.
God bless America. God bless our president. And hopefully we can get through this peacefully and legally. Whoever the legal winner is, so be it. I pray that they will lead this country in a good way that helps us to prosper as a nation.
I genuinely hope that when all this goes through the courts and it's decided and a lot of this pushes back, that at least some of these people that are out here that are being built up by the fervor and the fear of the right-wing, beliefs, right? The right-wing conspiracy theories. I hope some of them really do actually hold on to that perspective where they're like, I just want this to be fair. Because you know what? This does look like, on some level, you can draw a conspiracy from it. You can draw a lot of conclusions from it. If it wasn't for the fact that it was predicted beforehand, it looks suspicious in the eyes of people, especially when you have the right-wing machine pumping out all of this propaganda about this stuff. When you have Giuliani coming up and making the speech he did in Philadelphia, when you have Alex Jones out speaking out against this, when you're riling people up against this. But the fact is, when you look at the evidence, it's not there. And I'm just hoping that when some of this dies down and a lot of these people level themselves off, that at least some of them come back to reality and realize they were wrong the entire time and this was perfectly legitimate. But I do hope that's an actual sentiment and not just a dog whistle claiming fairness, meaning they're going to win. And I'm sure for a lot of people it is fairness, the being Trump wins, but I'm hoping that some of them, it's Trump, we want Trump to win, but we want it fair first. Because those are people that you can actually rationally reach and pull out of this cult of personality.
This has been a big fraud, and it's not acceptable. And our president is fighting for us, and we're going to fight for him.
Not acceptable at all.
I believe he's for all of us. The proof is, look at how many Latinos are now voting for him. 4 more years. Look at how many blacks are now voting for him. He gives results, and the proof is in the pudding. I feel encouraged that the right thing will get done, and that we'll have 4 more years of President Trump.
Biden just won. Kamala just won. It's over. America should be super proud of itself. We're getting back on track with the world, and I'm just so happy. And the last 4 years, it wasn't. And
okay, now they're doing the Biden side, so
I'm so proud.
Yeah, let's go to the next one. But one of the things I just want to actually take a quick look at, and I want to see if I can find, I don't know if they have the statistics for this yet, but black supporters of Biden versus Trump, because that woman made a claim that, let's see, that black people and Hispanic or Latino people were voting more in favor of Trump. Let's see, I have it here. 80% of black men supported Joe Biden, down slightly from Hillary Clinton's 82%. So yeah, you got a little bit more. But can you really claim that you got the black vote or black male vote in black men vote? Like, can you claim that in this case? I don't think so. Like, I think that there's the illusion of that because more people of color and more women are being outspoken about it and are being seen at these rallies. I think they're being showcased a lot more. But I don't think it's actually representative of the statistics. Maybe it's slightly more, but I don't think that that is actually what's going on. And I think it's a very important tactic for the Republicans to claim that they are reaching people that are, people of color, women, LGBT people, people in the LGBT community, to kind of bolster and remove some of the power of the left position. So Let's take a look at our next video. Let's see. Did those? Let's see, we got this one. Trump supporters gather for Stop the Steal rally at Utah State Capitol. And here we go. Oh, stop that steal.
Steps, Trump supporters gathered to express their frustrations.
Recount, we need a revote with protections in place, specifically in the contested states.
Not just a recount. They want to revote. They need to revote everything. They need to take all the votes and just do it over. Do it over. We'll do it over as many times as possible until Trump wins.
So you're talking about not just a recount of the ballots, but a whole
That's what I just said.
redo of the entire...
Absolutely, because those fraudulent votes are already there. If you recount them, you're recounting fraudulent votes.
Others disagree.
Well, they have a right to do what they're doing, but it's just sad to see that they're not trusting the process and giving in to false claims where there's no proof. And, you know, this is democracy. This is, the people have spoken, and you know, we need to trust that. That's just how it works. That's what makes America great.
One Trump supporter said until she knows for certain there was no foul play, she will continue to push for investigations into ballot counts.
We are not looking for violence. We are not looking to steal an election ourselves. We are not looking to blame anybody. We just want what's fair. To have 138,000 votes in Michigan over...
We just want what's fair. We just want to win. We just want, you know, everything recounted and redone until we win. Oh, they're coping so hard. They don't even realize they've lost. This is like the first stage. This is denial right here. This is the first stage. You know, eventually they'll hit acceptance. Eventually they'll hit acceptance.
Overnight, just 100% for Biden. That's questionable.
I think that's ridiculous, to put it lightly. Here in Utah,
Biden
they've been
supporter.
trying out to count doesn't mean state.
So Biden supporters cheered for the president and Biden. Maybe 300.
Okay, that one was kind of mild. What else we got? We have... So we have somebody speaking to Trump supporters in Nevada from CGTN America. I'm not quite familiar with that one, but let's see what they have to say.
Declared presidential candidate Joe Biden as the projected winner for the state of Nevada's 6 electoral votes.
Ignore that. Why is that popping up? There we go.
After an incredibly tight race that took days of tallying. The margin between the two candidates was
I want to hear you talk to the people.
Coronavirus. It was the first time Nevada had sent out mail-in ballots for all active registered voters. They've filed a lawsuit over what they claim to be an attempt to slow down the count.
Okay, the video said you're speaking to Trump supporters, and it's like halfway done, and you haven't spoken to anybody yet.
Of the votes, and despite
there we go.
And you know, we all saw this coming because of the mail-in ballots, and you know, all of the other.
You know, this is a peaceful protest as opposed to the, you know, other protests in the country that haven't been so peaceful. We're just the ones that might be carrying more weapons.
Ways that we knew that they were going to try to cheat to win. I think that if we actually had a fair and honest election, that President Trump would have won by a landslide.
We did have a fair and honest election.
Well, what's going to have to happen is that we're just going to have to...
See? They have the guns, they have the assault rifles out. They are coming out in full support. You know?
Continually show our support for our president and our rightfully so president, and President Trump's just going to have to keep fighting the good fight, just like I know him and his supporters are, to, even if it's not...
Okay, wait. I love that. That's actually awesome. That duct tape, or electrical tape, or whatever that is. That's kind of awesome. I unironically kind of enjoy his gear right now.
Even if it's not voter fraud, for God's sakes...
Like, he's got... This aesthetic is kind of amazing. I just need to say that. Like, he's got this, like, flowered shirt, and then he's got this vest on with the duct tape. He's simultaneously prepared for conflict and for, like, going to, like a stereotypical tiki bar. Like, I don't know what to make of this outfit. Neither one would surprise me to see this guy in, but just see them together, just, I love it. I love the aesthetic. He's just completely clashing with himself.
At least knowing that it was a legitimate vote. That's what I care about.
We need a fair election. If it takes, hand counted.
Oh, we've got the Pizzagate sign in the background. We've got the Pizzagate. We've got our QAnoners here. Just make sure it's fair. Just make sure it's fair. Who are people kidding? They're going into full conspiracy mode with this stuff. They're going into full conspiracy mode. And I'm not addressing the QAnon stuff here. This is a victory moment. I'm not going into it. But this makes me think that a lot of people here are not interested in actually counting the votes and making sure the election's legitimate. They're trying to protect a certain narrative.
Ballots, and so be it. But and
he actually put his mask. He actually put his mask above his nose. Wow. Wow, I'm actually surprised. I've gotten so used to seeing Republicans and Trump supporters with this aesthetic right here. It's not even just them, honestly. It's most people with the nose hanging out over the mask. But finally, he had the wherewithal to put his mask over his nose. I'm genuinely grateful.
Confirmed, then everybody goes home peacefully and we just accept the consequences of elections.
The Trump campaign is still planning to file a separate federal lawsuit in celebrations will.
Okay, that one looks like it's just about over. It's just him talking. Let's bring up the next one. We have Biden and Trump supporters take to Hartford streets as Biden claims victory. Let's take a look.
Reactions to the election spilling also.
Now, President-elect Joe Biden, they say that...
Oh, Vaskin, that President-elect Joe Biden. They're going to have to deal with it eventually.
This moment may help heal a nation divided.
Racial justice, immigrant justice.
Flags raised and shouting voices filling the state capitol moments after the election was called in favor of President-elect Joe Biden. People from both sides of the aisles expressing their views.
I'm really excited. On Thursday, and all we wanted for a president was a new president, and we got it. Mail-in ballots.
Wait, what was that?
Anniversary on Thursday, and all.
Hang in there, because we're hanging there with him.
I'm always going to.
Hope for President Trump to hang in there, because we're hanging there with him.
It was our 50th wedding anniversary on Thursday.
Oh, she's a Biden supporter.
For a president was a new president.
Okay, I got a little confused with the Trump shirt for a second, and I just thought that she was... But I should have known from the SEIU thing in the background. Okay, yeah.
And we got it.
Mail-in ballots is what the Democrats wanted.
Mail-in ballots is what the Democrats wanted. Yeah, that's what anybody with any sense, including you with half of your mask, should have wanted during a pandemic. Mail-in ballots are perfectly legal in every state in this union. I'm sorry, I'm just floored by that one.
And they got it.
They did get it. And you had it too, but you chose not to use it.
Sake of our democracy, they should tell.
Kind of part of the way it goes.
One demonstrator telling Fox 61 it is women who have something to celebrate no matter their political to heal the wounds from a deeply...
We've been divided for a long time effort. And independence, that includes governors.
Alright, I think that one is pretty much set. You know, a lot of them also have the Biden supporters, and I'm grateful for that, that they're kind of providing that context. But it's just not as funny. I think we're out of content, actually. Let me see if I can find and grab one more quick one. Let's see. Do we have a different location? We'll take this one. This one's in This one's in Philly.
Well, supporters for President Trump in Philadelphia are celebrations outside
it's a nice
the
short
Pennsylvania
one.
Convention Center.
I'm hopeful that Trump will still win, and even if he doesn't, I'm okay with that. As long as the votes are counted and they're legal votes, I'm good with it. Biden can be the president. Just make sure everything is the way it's supposed to be. That's all.
Republicans almost nearly won the House, and they kept the Senate, so we're...
You guys didn't almost win the House. You didn't win the House. You weren't coming close to the House. You might not even win the Senate. I know Georgia's going to be largely contested, but you didn't even win anything right now. Nothing is settled except for the presidency and the fact that the Democrats have the House. This is just pure delusional thinking. I'm loving it. I'm basking in it.
Wondering why we don't see the same statistical analysis on the side of the presidential.
I did not understand what she just said. Why we didn't get the same statistical analysis. I'm gonna listen to that again.
Statistical analysis on the...
I'm just not following her. One more time.
Wondering why we don't see the same statistical analysis on the side of the presidential.
Yeah, I don't know what she's trying to say there. I literally don't know how to respond to that. But it's just they're trying to cope with everything. They're trying to find arguments that make sense to just delegitimize everything. And it's just so great seeing them just whine and complain and just the level of denial that they're all going into.
Supporters of the president also protested the vote tally across the country.
And with that, I believe that we have had a successful election process. Biden has won. Let's breathe. Fascism's on hold for 4 more years. The courts are still going to be contested. You're still going to be hearing about it. There's going to be all sorts of doomer stuff going on. But right now, breathe, take in the moment. And this has been Anarchistara, and I hope you've enjoyed this video.